y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and today I want to have a crafty talk. Today's crafty talk is going to dive a little bit deep, and I'm really interested to hear your opinions. What is your purpose behind crafting? A lot of us spend a lot of our time and a lot of our money on our crafting hobbies, and I've noticed that I have personally felt the need to justify my hobby to other people. I frequently will get asked questions like, why are you making that? Or who are you making that for? Or I get asked the question, do you think your kids are really going to want to keep all of those scrapbooks or all of those journals? And I feel like I am having to kind of justify this hobby and what the purpose behind my crafting is and why I am so dedicated and why it is so important to me. So my question for you is, first, do you think that you have to have a purpose behind your crafting, or can you just do something for the joy of doing it? Now, I know what I think my answer is, but I definitely want to hear from you. The second thing I would like to know is, what is your purpose behind crafting? Do you have a purpose? And does it change depending on your season of life, on the craft that you are creating? I would like to discuss some of the purposes that I have kind of brainstormed behind crafting. They fit into three different categories. We're going to talk about concrete purposes, really tangible things that you can point to as to why you are doing the hobby that you are doing. We're going to dive deep and talk about some of the deeper benefits of crafting. And then we're going to take a look at some of the surface level reasons behind the hobbies that we've chosen. As a reminder, I truly believe in my heart that everyone is creative. We all show it in different ways. Some of us write, some of us paint, some of us sing. Some of us are creative in the way that we train for races. Some of us are creative physically in sports. There's so many different ways to show creativity. And for me, it happens to come out in crafting, but it also permeates other areas of my life. So for me, having a creative hobby is kind of vital to the person I am. And that is one of the reasons I feel it's so important to encourage other people to really dive in, to try to get in touch with their creative side, to experiment, to see what is inside them that might want to come out. Okay, let's start with the concrete, really tangible reasons that you might be crafting. First of all, the first one is a little bit obvious. You are making something. You're physically making something, maybe for yourself or for a present. A lot of us crafters like to create things and give them away. If you're a card maker, you definitely know the motivation behind this. If you are a scrapbooker, then maybe you're making journals and scrapbooks that you are giving to friends, to family. There's a lot of reasons to craft. If you are a Cricut or a Silhouette user and you have a ton of fun creating unique t-shirts or unique projects and then gifting them, there's a lot of meaning behind a handmade gift. And I think a lot of creative crafters or hobbyists kind of get in that avenue, in that they want to show someone how much they care by creating something with their own hands. So that is one of the really concrete reasons, one of the concrete answers that I have given in the past on why are you creating that or why are you crafting that? Well, I'm giving it as a gift, or I'm creating a unique piece for my house. Another reason you might give as the purpose for your crafting is that you're honing a skill that you feel called to do that will eventually turn into a business. And I know a lot of women, especially, that are in this boat, that are working on their art skills because they dream of having a creative-based business in the future. So they craft as a means to work on that skill or to create a business. I by no means think that that has to be your end goal. I totally believe that you can create just for the purpose of creating, that it doesn't have to be a money-making endeavor, but I know a lot of people that feel motivated in that realm. And so that's definitely another very tangible purpose behind crafting. Another concrete purpose behind crafting is the documenting of memories. And of course, this definitely refers to scrapbookers who are physically taking photos and documenting stories and memories for their families. but that can spread out to a lot of other crafting hobbies. I know quilters that have deep meaning and purpose, and that show family history almost through quilts, and the quilts kind of go through generations and there's stories that go along with them. The same thing if you're into pottery or jewelry, you're really sharing a piece of yourself with future generations. So documenting yourself, documenting your family, and in a lot of different ways, not just through paper crafting, but through other hobbies as well, is a great way to preserve those memories for future generations. And the last concrete reason for crafting that I was brainstorming is maybe slightly more out there, but it's about creating an aesthetic that calls to you. So you might be crafting because you are creating pieces that speak to you that you're not seeing in other places. You're creating you could be creating DIY home decor. You could be creating jewelry. You could be creating clothing. You could be creating just a personal journal or a planner, for instance. So that just speaks to you and inspires you. And that's why you are spending time crafting in that hobby. For me, that is definitely the case with decorative planning. Could I just pick up a planner, a paper and pen planner, and use it and be totally functional? Yes, I could. But I love the aesthetic of decorative planning. I love the beautiful colors, the different stickers. It really speaks to me when I open up my planner and inspires me to get into my planner more. And so therefore I'm more productive in that particular realm of my life. So creating this aesthetic that really speaks to me is something that really makes a difference, and one of the reasons behind why I craft. Okay, let's dive a little bit deeper now and discuss some of the deeper purposes behind our crafting. Like I mentioned earlier, I am a big believer that we are all created to create, that we are all inherently creative, that it's built into us, and that it's our job to kind of access that. And so that's why I love to encourage other people that maybe don't feel like they're equipped artistically, but encourage them to jump in, to create, to not compare themselves, but just create for the joy of creating. And personally, I feel like when you are crafting, when you are creating in some ways, exercising that creativity muscle, like I like to call it, really expands into other parts of your life. You start to think more creatively. You become more of a problem solver in other areas of your life. Maybe you are a painter, and the more you paint, you also find yourself called to write, to journal. Maybe it inspires you in the kitchen to create some new foods. Maybe you're just thinking and looking at the world in a different way when you are in a creative zone. And the more you exercise that creative muscle, the more likely you are to get into that creative zone. For me, crafting also helps me process through feelings and emotions. I definitely feel like when my hands are busy creating, that my mind can quiet down and start to really dive deeper and process through things. So I find myself when I am feeling a big emotion in some way, maybe it's sadness, maybe it's grief, maybe it's happiness, in some way processing emotions for me works out in crafting and in creative hobbies. So I think it can help us by letting us work through something in a really physical way that helps us process emotionally. And I know that's been the case for me. For me, art journaling definitely does that. Just kind of letting go and digging into art journaling, creative journaling, Bible journaling really helps me to process feelings and thoughts that I'm having so that I can connect the dots in different ways than I would have just thinking through those ideas or those thoughts on their own, but connecting them to my creativity kind of gives them a full circle view, a 3D view, if that makes sense. And let's be honest, crafting, getting into our creative hobbies is an escape. The past 12 months have been crazy, have been really difficult, have been filled with definitely some turmoil, trials, some different roadblocks for a lot of us, some grief. And coming into my craft room, for me at least, is an escape. It's an escape, a chance to just focus on some beauty that's in the world and to let everything else go. And you can escape in a lot of different ways. For some people, reading, for some people, running, cooking, even, watching Netflix. There's a lot of different ways to escape, but crafting definitely does it for a lot of us. Crafting can also really instill a sense of pride or a sense of satisfaction in completing a project. So some of us crafters are a little infamous for starting a lot of projects and not finishing them, but you have to admit there's nothing quite like the feeling of finishing a project completely and then just being able to look at it and seeing that you created that you can be thankful for the gifts you've been given in order to create that. It's just a really great feeling when you are able to learn a new skill, or like I said, to complete a project that has been meaningful to you. It really instills that satisfaction, and it's just a wonderful way to kind of feel that pride of self, which is something that sometimes we're missing. Sometimes we tend to doubt ourselves. Sometimes we think poorly of ourselves, and seeing a completed project can really turn that around. Now, I know this has been the case with me, and I know it's the case with others, but my creative hobbies, my crafting has really connected me with a larger community of like-minded people. So whether it's in person at different retreats or crops, or just meeting people through church, or even at the craft store where you just start talking to the person that's looking at stickers next to you, it really connects you to other people in a way that is unusual, I think, because you meet another crafter and it's like you instantly understand them. You understand where they're coming from. You understand some of the motivations for what they're doing. I think it's a unique community. And I know a lot of us have built up a wonderful community of friends online, especially in the last 12 months, but even more so back from there, because there's just such a great way to support other creators through Instagram. And it's not just people that have businesses, but the people that are brave enough to put out their artwork, to put out the things they create, to take pictures and share just for the joy of sharing. You can really connect with a lot of people that way. And I've definitely felt a lot of benefit from that connection. And the last kind of deeper purpose I wanted to discuss kind of harkens back to, I feel like we're all built, created with a need to create. And so crafting for me fulfills that need. I have a deep inner need to create, to be creative in some way. And in my life, that's come out in different ways through creating choreography, or when I was a teacher, being creative with lesson plans and coming up with new ways to teach things. And at the moment, and for several different times in my life, crafting has definitely fulfilled that. I have a need to be creative. If I go a few days or a few weeks without creating something, without just spending time digging into the supplies and having a good time, I feel like a part of me is missing or not functioning at its fullest. So crafting really connects me with that deep need and kind of satisfies that need. But hey, let's be honest. We don't all need a deep, meaningful purpose behind crafting. There are some surface level purposes behind your crafting that are 100% acceptable. For instance, I tell my husband all of the time, I just like pretty things. When I'm buying new craft supplies, sometimes I buy it just on the basis that it's visually appealing. I like pretty things. They bring me little bits of happiness, little bits of joy in my day. And it might sound shallow, but it's something that I really enjoy. So yes, sometimes I craft, or I have craft supplies that just bring me that little bit of happiness just because I like what they look like. Also, it just makes us happy to craft. After I've spent an afternoon in my craft room, I'm just a happier individual. So I might not have known a deeper purpose. I might not have created anything that I'm super proud of, but I come out of a craft session just feeling lighter, feeling happier. And that is reason enough for me to dive into the hobby. And let's be honest, it's fun. It's fun learning new stuff. It's fun getting messy. It's fun playing with pretty paper. It's fun shopping for pretty fabrics and creating new quilts and new clothes. It's fun brainstorming and dreaming of different crafts you might like to do. It is just fun. So those are some of the reasons that I was brainstorming behind the purpose behind my crafting, and some of the reasons that I've heard other people share about why they create and what their creative journey is all about. And now it's your turn. I would love to hear it below. I'd love to have a discussion on, do you think that there has to be a purpose behind your crafting, or can you do it just for the joy of crafting? And if you feel like you do have a purpose behind your crafting, I'd love to hear it below. Thank you so much for joining me today. A special shout out to my YouTube members. Thank you so much for your support. If you're interested in becoming part of our YouTube member community and kind of receiving the extra perks that they receive, make sure to click that join button below so you can find out some more. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification button. I hope that you have a fabulous day. And as always, keep it creative.